Alrighty, folks, it is that time again. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with the company SouthernIndianaWeather.com. I am the digital meteorologist and founder of Southern Indiana Weather. I welcome you to our final winter forecast for the year 2016-2017. Of course, if you are watching this directly from YouTube, I encourage you to go to our website at SouthernIndianaWeather.com, where you can find a written version of this forecast and get a little bit more details there as well. Some of you may be watching this from the Evansville Courier and Press site, and we welcome you as well. Our winter forecast this year is sponsored by Remote Eyes. If you are looking to increase the profitability of your business, maybe your location is understaffed or it's overstaffed, your customer wait times, are they too long? The reality is, you as an owner or a manager, you can't be everywhere at once. But with Remote Eyes, you can. You can secure your business 24/7, 365 right from your smartphone. Remote Eyes has a great app for iPhone and Android devices, and with it, you can have all of your cameras right in the palm of your hand, giving you the peace of mind that you need to reduce stress in your business. Only Remote Eyes offers a comprehensive suite of integrated video management equipment and software products that are designed really to meet your thorniest business productivity problems. Their cameras, their IP cameras, folks, can deliver real-time H.264 streaming video. They can deliver integrated audio and megapixel performance in a variety of housings that match your surveillance requirements. They're easy to learn, easy to use, highly reliable, and it comes with the best service and support in the industry. They've got other great products as well, like their unique drive-through expediter. You'll want to know about this company. So for more information, give them a call at 888-291-6379 or email them sales@remoteeyes.com, and be sure to visit them on their website, remoteeyes.com. When you do, be sure to tell them that Southern Indiana Weather was the one who sent you. All right, as we start the winter forecast out here today, folks, the very first thing that I want to do is talk about some very helpful reminders for this. The very first thing I need you to know is, folks, that there are just no perfect winter forecasts ever, because seasonal forecasting is a huge challenge. I have put a ton of time and energy. In fact, I started looking at the winter forecast all the way back in July. Some of you watching this may have watched some of my early videos from July, where I shared with you a little bit about the analogs and some of the thoughts back then. This is a multi-month process to be able to do this. And the reality is, even though I have been doing this for years, there are no perfect winter forecasts ever. My apologies for the Office Updates banner going on in there. You've got to love it when computers do things you don't want them to do. Just like there are no perfect computers that do what you want to do all the time, there are no perfect winter forecasts ever either. I don't know of a meteorologist around who has gotten everything right about their winter forecast. Mine certainly have not been perfect. This one I'll guarantee it won't be perfect either, but hopefully we improve as we go on. Meteorology is an imperfect science. You need to remember that. Because of that, look for an update to this in early January. Once we get the pattern going again and we're kind of midway through that, I'll start to update things again and kind of see where we are at. All right, so what I want to do in this video, folks, is just kind of update you. If you have not watched the preliminary winter forecast, I'm going to post that in the comments below, because I'm going to go very in-depth in that one, maybe a little bit more in-depth than I am here, as some of the modeling and a more diverse suite of the models. So if you want an idea of what just about anything and everything is saying, watch that preliminary winter forecast. Link will be down in the videos here on YouTube. Also, all the models and things that I use, I'm going to post links to those in the comments. Feel free to like and comment on this below. I'll answer them as quickly as I possibly can, to the best that I possibly can. I know in the past on my videos, many of you have wanted the links to the things that I'm using there in the videos, so I'll be happy to do that. Just look in the bottom and you should be able to find it. All right, so the very first thing I want to do is talk about a La Nina update. When I recorded my preliminary winter forecast, you'll remember that the La Nina watch had been canceled, and we were looking at possibly a weak La Nina at best, but it was looking more like a neutral year, on the cool side of neutral, but nonetheless neutral. Well, this is because this is where we were back in September whenever I issued this. Back in September the 19th, the analysis here, this is what La Nina looked like down here in the black circle here, and you could see it was pretty weak. There were some negative anomalies here and there, but it was not strong. In fact, the INSO 3.4 region value was pretty much at zero in neutral. neutral territory. We are in a much different shape today. Compare that to where we are today. So this was the analysis from yesterday. This is November the 4th, 2016 as I'm recording this video. This is the analysis from yesterday, and we're down to negative 1.0, and we can see we are much cooler on this. In fact, La Nina watch has been upgraded again since the last preliminary winter forecast was issued out, and it looks like the modeling is suggesting we could stay in that. So the La Nina modeling here from the CPC, from NOAA, basically El Nino above the red line, La Nina here below the blue line that I've put onto this, and the orange box here, it represents the winter, December, January, and February. So here we are currently right here. Here's where we were in that Super Nino back in the last winter into early spring. That faded off pretty quick into neutral territory, and it looks like we've been roughly here in La Nina for a good little while now. It's not an official La Nina yet. You got to have 3 consecutive months of being below that line, and we have not yet, but we probably will. In fact, the modeling is wanting to show that here's January, the beginning of January here. You see we're firmly in that, and you know we stay pretty much below that 9 in what we would call a weak La Nina status through the rest of the year. So because of that, we're going to need to update our forecast with that latest thinking. The other thing I want you to know is about the warm PDO. Talked about the warm PDO in my last video as well, the Pacific Decadal Oscillation. And here we were back in September. This is what it looked like. And you see that warm blob, which was still there. And I said that was probably hampering the development of the La Nina, because La Ninas don't like to develop under warm PDOs. Warm PDOs don't like La Ninas either. They really just don't like each other. As we look at what we've got going on here today at the beginning of November, notice how this has really significantly cooled. This has gotten stronger. The La Nina has started to eat away at that warm PDO. Now, that's not to say that the warm PDO couldn't come back. It most certainly can. I don't have a graphic up here showing you the subsurface waters, but this is the surface temperature anomalies. But if you go down to the subsurface, there is still a whole heck of a lot of warm water that's going to well up to the top eventually. And so I expect eventually that warm PDO is probably going to come back a little bit. Now, if you look at the actual indices, there are 2 competing PDO indices. One will tell you we're in the negative, and one will tell you we're just slightly positive at this point. And it's different. One is from the National Weather Service, from NOAA, and one is from university. The university one, I think the indice for it is a little more comprehensive. I think it uses a little bit more buoys possibly, and frankly I think it's just a little bit better of an index. That's the one I tend to rely on, and I have for years. That one keeps us slightly in the positive. Regardless, though, you see a lot of cool anomalies coming up here, so certainly it is going to be a fight. We're not guaranteed a warm PDO. We're not guaranteed this warm blob is going to be there for the winter, but I do think we're going to see it come back just a little bit. Again, these two are going to battle each other. So that's the updates for it. Now, basically what we need to do then is say, okay, the analogs that we looked at then, we need to update the analogs. So all of this in orange, these are the analogs that you saw in the preliminary winter forecast video. These are new ones I added, and basically what I've done is I've taken some stronger La Ninas in the weak La Nina territory to just bordering here, or maybe possibly a little bit more in the moderate territory, to account for some possibilities that this La Nina that we are under is indeed going to stay this strength through the winter, the way the modeling looks like it's going to be right now. So we've got a healthy mix of neutral and some La Nina mixes throughout here. We've got a healthy mix of PDOs that are slightly on the cool phase to some PDOs that are slightly on the warm phase. When you do that, we get a new set of analogs. So this is what the analogs that I showed you for the temperatures, December through February, back in the preliminary winter forecast. This is what it looked like. Now adding those additional La Nina years that I put the arrows on, just for your reference down there, adding those in with those, adding a little bit more to the La Nina, you can see that takes away from the temperature anomalies just a little bit. No matter how I look at this, though, no matter how many La Nina years I put on, here in southern Indiana, where I am forecasting for. Now, I'm covering the entire nation in this video, but remember, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is focused on southern Indiana. And for us, I'm trying to find a way that La Nina makes us warm, and I'm not seeing it. I'm just not. La Ninas almost always make us cool. So this is the reality that we are dealing with. I'm not finding a ton of warmth this winter. So eventually, this warm pattern that we're in, I do think it's going to break down. It's going to take some time, but I think it's going to break down. Now, what about the strongest analog years? Well, If you're asking for that, as some of you have, 1983-84 and 95-96 are my two biggest years as far as correlation to this at this point. That does not mean that it will stay that way a month from now, but as of right now, on November the 4th, as I'm recording this, this is the strongest correlation years that we have, and you can see it pretty much stays cool over much of the country and the warm in the west as a result of that. Now, of course, if we look at snow totals with those analog years, I don't have the new ones added on here, but this is the graph I showed back in the preliminary winter forecast. And what you see is snow totals really run the gamut. But if you have some of those years, this is all, by the way, for Evansville, Indiana. And again, I forecast primarily for southern Indiana. I know a lot of you may be watching from outside of Indiana, and so this will certainly, a lot of what I'm going to talk about is applying nationally. But here in Evansville, Indiana, at the Evansville Regional Airport, this is our totals for then. And you saw, well, we've had some pretty big years. We've had some pretty weak years. It does really kind of run the gamut. We have to be really prepared for both then as we go through that. So let's then talk about some other things. What do I think here are the most important features of my winter forecast? Again, watch the preliminary winter forecast if you want a full comprehensive set of modeling. What I'm going to show you is just the highlights of what I thought was the most important to me as I brought in the winter forecast. First off, the analogs that I showed you are very, very important to me. Very time consuming to make those, but worthwhile because it gives you a history of what similar ocean conditions have proven in the years past. All right, but some of the modeling and some other organic forecasting methods are important to me as well. One of the other things that I've relied on a lot for this winter forecast is the SSTCA model, the constructed analogs. This has been very consistent. I'll post a link to where these are down in the comments, but here you can see, folks, that consistently now for the past 3 months, the new one I thought was supposed to come out today. It has not, as of this video being released and recorded yet here, but has for at least 3 months here showed us consistently with a back half January, February, March here in winter, showing up pretty cool over the eastern half of the country. I suspect the latest update for this month will stay the same. One of the other things that I rely on, it's a newer method, but I think is important, are Rossby waves. Well, what is a Rossby wave? Of course, this is not, Rossby wave is not a new method, but there is the recurring Rossby wave train, which I'll talk to you about in a second, is a newer method here. A Rossby wave is basically what you see here in the graph right here, high to low, high to low. It's a dip and a ridge in the jet stream. There's a ridge in the jet stream and a trough in the jet stream. And so this right here to that, well, that's a Rossby wave, all right? And the idea here behind the recurring Rossby wave train, the RRWT, is that these dips in the jet stream, these ridges in the dips, these Rossby waves, they recur given a certain period of time. And because they recur, that means if we know how often that it's going to be before the next one comes through and recurs, then we can track them and we can use the conditions that we saw previously under them and compare that with climate normals and such, and be able to get at least a small idea of what we might be like under the next one into the future. And this is a great little thing from organicforecasting.com. Josh Herman put this out. I highly recommend this if you are a weather buff at all watching this video. I can't talk enough about organicforecasting.com. You really need to go check that out. You can find some other great things there. The Bering Sea rule that Joe Rankin has developed is another great tool for some forecasting. It's going to give you, a month or so in advance. It's not going to be like the recurring Rossby wave train, which is a little bit longer than that. But, the Southern Oscillation Index changes and, the East Asia rule, typhoon rules. There's some great stuff on there. I highly encourage you to check that out. But the recurring Rossby wave train, what I've got here showed for you, folks, this is precipitation chances that are going to come with those next signals that roll through. So this is for the month of November. Now, what you need to know about November is this is really going to be a step-down month. So Indian summer's gone, but you Arctic hounds, like I said, you're just going to have to wait. You're going to have to be patient. This is going to be a step-down process this month, folks. You see several signals that are rolling through here this month. Here's the one for Louisville. Here's the one for Indianapolis. The blue X marks here indicate, blue stars here indicate snow chances through that. All right, so here's November. There's a few of them rolling through. No snow chances with this. Probably still going to stay somewhat warm as we go through. I think there will be a pattern shift about mid-month onward, and it looks like here what you can see, there's a pretty big storm about mid-month, and another one possibly as we end the month here, a little before or right after Thanksgiving in that time frame. All right, so we're going to have a couple of chances to cool it down, but it's not going to be Arctic cold for us in southern Indiana yet. That could change as we get over into December, though, very possibly. Now you're starting to see the stars show up for those snow chances here, and so you've got multiple Rossby waves here moving through, multiple signals moving through here during the month of December, folks. And see, you got several chances. What you also notice by this is forecasting different amounts of snow. So here's for Louisville, and here is for Indianapolis. Indianapolis is showing some while Louisville is not. You're going to see that's pretty much the same, but there are multiple chances of precipitation coming down here in the month of December, folks. Now what happens though if we move into January? So here's those multiple chances in December. Go into January and you see multiple storm chances coming in here. Higher storm chances, higher probabilities here coming up for Indianapolis though than what you see in Louisville here. And you see they got more chances coming in here than what you do here. So, and again, you're going to see that same thing as we roll into February. In fact, February for Louisville, not showing any snow chances here on this particular version of this model. It's run at different times. This is the one from November the 1st, but you see multiple there coming in Indianapolis. What is this, folks? Don't look quite at the percent chance here, all right? This is just a tool. This is just a general idea of some things showing up here. Don't focus so much here on the actual, you gotta love this computer. Don't focus so much here on the actual precipitation chances here. It is really the pattern that we are looking at here, and you notice all the ups and downs that I've shown you throughout the months here. And really what this is showing to me is that there's going to be a lot of chances for some impactful winter weather this winter. The key is going to be whether or not we can get the cold air locked in enough, folks, to be able to really get that storms here. And what I want you to see especially out of this is notice the precipitation chances better in Indianapolis. Notice that you're getting higher snow totals up here in Indianapolis than what you do down in Louisville. That's indicating to me southern Indiana is going to be in the battle zone on this. And this is not the only model indicating that. A lot of models are indicating this, folks, by the way. Here's the way the March graphics looks, and then I finally want to show you this as well. This is just putting it in a table form rather than a chart form. And so Snow 1, Snow 2, Snow 3 from the different members of this particular model that's run there and then averaged out. But notice this, Indianapolis, here's the different ideas for snow totals through the winter. Runs the whole gamut. Again, don't focus here on the exact totals. This is not saying we're for sure knowing there's going to be 24 inches of snow in Indianapolis this winter, all right, and that there's only going to be 1.9 in Louisville. But notice the disparity between them. Notice the big difference between it. What it's showing to me is that Indianapolis is going to be more firmly locked into the cold air than what Louisville is, but that means we here in southern Indiana, folks, are going to be right on the battleground. The recurring Rossby wave train is saying it. It is not the only indication of that as well. A lot of the modeling and a lot of the analogs that I have looked at are suggesting this kind of exact same pattern. So it's going to be a battle this year as to whether we can get things really locked into place or not. Now, that's a mixed signal for us, but Siberian snow cover could be another one. This is a pretty cold signal. Siberian snow cover basically says that when you have increased snow coverage in Siberia during the autumn, specifically during the month of October, that leads to a weakened polar vortex, which wobbles and comes further south, can deliver that colder weather to us. And so what do we have? Well, here's what we have. This was snow cover in Siberia right here on September 30th. Here we have October 31st, and you see it advance a whole lot more. In fact, Judah Cohen with AER developed the Siberian Snow Advance Index, suggests from his Twitter feed that this is one of the strongest times that he has seen this advance this fast. And so because of that, that's a pretty good indication that we could have some displacements of the polar vortex as we go on. The way that we will track that, of course, is through the AO index, the Arctic oscillation. The Arctic oscillation has been in the negative all from this point all the way back through the beginning of October. Now, that has not helped us have a ton of cold weather yet because it takes more than just one indices to get cold weather here. But if you watch my long-range forecast videos, especially through the winter times over the past years, you know I talk about them all the time. And we'll talk about them a lot this winter, no doubt. The Arctic oscillation will help us to track that, though. Look for this. There's a potential that this could stay in that negative territory as we head more into the winter months. And, of course, that's a very real possibility. That could lead to some polar vortex displacements, and that would certainly be a thing that would be a colder signal for us. Judah, with AER there, has basically taken that snow advance index, combined that with a lot of other parameters, and they've come up with their own winter forecasting model. This has been a pretty decently accurate model outside of last winter. Last winter it really bombed, but you know, everything bombed last winter with the Super El Nino. That was just, you know, an event unlike that we have seen very many times in the past. So most things in the modeling world bombed last year, but it's done pretty good other years, and it's forecasting this so much colder than normal temperatures here for really for a good chunk of the nation here, folks, and especially for us here in southern Indiana. All right, so let's end all the discussion. Again, those are the big things about the modeling, what I did. Let's talk then here about let's talk about our forecast. All right, here's what I think is going to happen nationally. Temperature-wise, I expect southern Indiana here to be about 1 degree below normal. We're not going to see the bitter cold persistently all winter long. That'll probably stay up to our north, but I do expect that we're going to be definitely down here into the cold once everything is all evened out. Normal down here, and then the oranges and yellows indicate here where your warmer temperatures would be. So a below normal temperature-wise winter for us. That does not mean that we won't see any mild days. We certainly will see some mild days. In fact, we may see some back and forth temperatures. But when everything is all averaged out, I expect it to be below normal for the 3-month period. Again, I expect us to have an active storm track. The active Clipper track, say that 10 times fast, is up to our north. That could angle and come down over us from time to time too, but I do expect that somewhere in here there will be an active Clipper track. There's going to be an active storm track, I think, somewhere here through the Ohio Valley as well. It's going to vary in path just like the Clipper track will, but I think it's going to deliver us plenty of chances this winter. You saw that in the recurring Rossby wave train, by the way. Plenty of signals moving through that is going to give us some of those chances. And because of the La Nina year, you know, this could be a more impactful winter storm kind of winter. It just, again, depends on how much that cold air is locked in place when the storms roll through. We won't know that until it's time, but because of that active storm track, I think above normal snowfall for much of this corridor with this storm track is reasonable at this point. Especially you lock in the idea that we're colder than normal over time and that we've got more precipitation than normal over time. That's probably going to lead to above normal snowfall. I think there'll be a pretty heavy lake effect snow machine, by the way, up to our north. Unusually warm Great Lakes are really going to fuel that, but for us, about 100 to 125% of normal is what I'm expecting here for that. Here's some highlights map for the nation then. For us, I do think that we're going to see those periods of cold. I don't think it's going to be bitter cold all winter long, but there will be some significant cold shots. I think the polar vortex may visit a time or two this winter with it being in that weakened state. I think it very well could. And so there are going to be some colds. You know, this is not going to be a free ride like last year's El Nino was. It's going to feel a whole lot more like winter this year than what last winter did. Is it the worst winter we've ever seen? No, I don't think it's going to be the worst winter we've ever seen, but it's certainly going to be colder than we saw last year. And, you know, we're going to have a chance for some above normal snow with this, but we're going to be right there in that rain snow battle zone. Again, we saw it in the recurring Rossby wave train there, folks, where Indianapolis looked to get a lot more snow than Louisville, and that's because southern Indiana is going to be that battleground, and we're going to fight that cold air. If you're up towards the northeast, you can expect some frequent cold snaps, you know, and again, some of you are going to get above normal snowfall as well, because this active storm track is really going to expand all the way up into here, not just in the red. This is where the battle zone will be. I think you'll expect that as well. There's your heavy lake effect snows, some bitter cold shots up to the north with that Arctic Clipper track. Out to the west, you can expect some cold and some typical mountain snows, warm and dry in the southern portion of the nation here, and cool and wet there for the northeast. Let's bring it home to southern Indiana and talk about some things. Average snowfall here at the Southern Indiana Weather Office, located in Huntingburg, Indiana, 11.9 inches. Here's the past 2 winters, what we did. So last year, we just didn't get there. It was, like I said, it was almost a non-winter, but even a non-winter, we got some. So we'll get some snow this year. It's pretty much a guarantee. It's a question of how much at this point. A couple of winters ago, we had a pretty big winter here. And again, I think we're going to see some numbers on that order potentially again. Highlights here for us, much colder than last winter. Again, a few bitter cold air invasions are very possible here. We don't know exactly how many of those are going to be, so snow totals are going to be highly dependent on the number of those cold air invasions and timing out just right for when the storms roll through. But again, 100 to 125% snow totals are favored. And then let's just break it down very quickly here to end on this month month-by-month breakdown. Nationally, what can you expect? Here in November, the winter pattern is slowly going to evolve through the month by a step-down cooling process. As I said, the Arctic hounds are just going to have to be patient. Indian summer is gone, but we're slowly going to get cooler as we go through the month. Then in December, that winter pattern is going to start to get established, probably by mid-month, maybe into the late month. But around there, those winter storms are going to start to be more frequent east of the Rockies. Then in January and February, the heart of the winter comes. The active storm track through the Ohio Valley and up into the northeast is going to be kicking up. You're going to see more frequent cold air invasions, but I do think that's going to lessen its grip by later in February. And then in March, the pattern, I think, is going to begin to relax a little bit. And early spring, possibly, we will just have to see. So that's kind of what I expect. Again, we will update this in early January, maybe even late December. Sort of just depends on, we'll deal with that when we get there, but expect in that time frame to me to have a little bit of an update for this. Again, if you're coming directly from YouTube, be sure to go to southernindianaweather.com, and you can click on this right on the homepage and find this, the final winter forecast. You'll be able to get a little bit more of a text discussion for this as well, and see these maps again and read a little bit more about it without having to go back and replay the video again. If you want, be sure to check that out. Expect the mid-winter update to become probably in early January 2017, unless we have a bunch of winter storms right then, in which case we may go into late December. We'll play that by ear, but sometime in that time frame, towards the beginning of the next year, we will have an update to this forecast out for you. We'll see where we're on track, and we'll see what changes may possibly need to be made. That's it for the winter forecast. I apologize for the video being so long, folks, but a lot to cover here. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to comment down below. Look for those links down below in the YouTube video if you want to check those out as well, and I'll try to answer as many of your comments as I possibly can. Thanks for watching.